from LUXE PACK US. It would not be a LUXE PACK event if we did not address color. Color is a power which directly influences all souls. Color does not only add a pleasant quality to design, it reinforces it. Among several kinds of beauty, the eye takes most delight in colors. I can go on and on and on about the impact of color on our day-to-day from so many dimensional aspects. This is why I am thrilled to introduce this year's keynote speaker, who along with her team leads the color language that is used worldwide by designers to assess color trends, communicate color choices, and control color consistency across every imaginable surface texture, material, and finish. This year, her and her team had us looking at the world through a lens of peach fuzz. So with no further ado, please join me in welcoming Carola Seybold, Head of Global Key Account Management for Pantone.
Yeah, thank you very much, Linda, for this introduction, and good afternoon and welcome. It's really my pleasure to be in Monaco, which is the first time I be here for an official speech. And today we want to have a look a little bit into color. Color not only about the power of color, also about the technical issues of color, and specifically about all the challenges you have if you look into the virtual universe. A colorful virtual universe, chances and risks for color in this virtual universe. So first of all, think about live without color. So a very good expression is if you are at night at home and you are in your sleeping room and you switch tonight off the lights, have a look around what happens. You don't see any color anymore. So what you can see, the color, is all the time a reflection of the light. So living without a color would be very scary for all of us as a human being, because color helps us to memorize things, and color help us to create emotions. 80% of all our human experience are filtered through the eyes. I give you an easy example. I got a new team member, and she said, "Hey, I will pick you up at London Heathrow Airport." I said, "Well, that's cool. Yeah, okay. Which car do you have?" And she said, "I have a Toyota." I said, "That's fine, but how can I see from far away a Toyota? Can you give me the color, please?" And she said, "Oh, yes, I'm working in a color company now. I understood." But this is because color is so much easy to see from far away than instead of any automotive brand, of course. And color defines our world. Remember what I said just a second before. Color helps us to memorize things. If you see behind me this field, does it speak for you? Can you remember it long? No, for sure not. If I give you the color, then you see immediately France, and you can smell the lavender field, and you get really emotionally touched. And this is not only for the real world, this is also for our digital world. So this is really very important to get these two worlds together, because we are living in two worlds. We cannot ignore anymore that there's a digital world outside. And color plays a big role also in how we present ourselves, for our moods and emotions. Famous example, Kate Middleton. Everybody know this person, of course, also outside the UK, I'm sure. And she has a perfect stylist. This stylist is doing so well in giving her the right dresses for exact the right moment. She can be very gray if she has to stand back. She can play the little girl coming up in a pink dress, but she can also stand out in this yellow bright dress. And this yellow bright dress, she was worn, I think in 2023 at Wimbledon. And this stylist was so smart enough that he also understood the color harmonies. I can show you why. So this was the yellow dress. And we have a platform which you hopefully all know. It's the Pantone Connect app. And with the Pantone Connect app, this app will help you not only to bring all the colors in Adobe and help you to understand colors in a digital space, which I will show you in a minute, but also you can build up color harmonies. So if you bring in the yellow from the dress from Kate, and you find then the analogous harmony, it's exactly the green of the grass of Wimbledon. So it was really done by purpose. And this year I saw her again in Wimbledon, and she was wearing a lilac dress, which is again in a harmony with the green. So these stylists understand really color harmony and what stands out and make her even shining more bright than she already is. And color helps you to tell your own story, not only in the real world, but also in the metaverse. Because if you're looking into the metaverse, and you probably heard about all the famous brands who done their own metaverse stores, there are really people who buy a Gucci dress just to have their avatar dressed up in Gucci. And this is, of course, something which helps then these guys to be in this avatar world present themselves. And it's not only, of course, by color, but also by famous brands. And color has changed a lot in the last decades. So especially if you're looking into the tennis sport, this is a very good example to show you how color has been changed. If you're going back to the 80s, and Steffi Graf was a very famous tennis player, she played normally all white or dark blue white, so very, very, let's say, stand-back colors. If you're looking today, you have people like, I forgot the name again, I should know it, Osaka, Naomi Osaka, I think, I hope so. And she's not only playing with this big bow on her jacket, but she also expressed herself by color. She don't want to stand back. She wants to say, hey, I'm back here, because she just got a child and she's back in the tennis circus. So she wants to really say, hey, all look to me, I'm really back. So color is used here really to express your personality. But what is tomorrow? And going back to the digital space, tomorrow we hopefully not all play only digital, we still hopefully can go to the tennis court and play in real life. But tomorrow the colors have a bigger influence in all these gaming platforms, so the colors will be moved further. And 87% of all brand recognition is driven by color. And it doesn't matter if we talk about the digital space or the web shops or the real space. So first question for you, what is the brand behind this photo? IKEA, thank you. Very nice that you said that. It looks like IKEA, but it's not IKEA. So this photo I did by myself when I was driving on the motorway between Frankfurt and Stuttgart. So I'm from Germany. And I thought, hey, since when IKEA has a store here in the nowhere? And I make this photo. And do you know what? It was an airplane museum. And this airplane museum was playing so smart in using exactly the same color combination and the same type of building that you think, hey, this is an IKEA building. And what happens, I'm a mother of a son, so I thought, hey, cool, I was not aware of an airplane museum here close by Stuttgart where I'm living, so I can go there on the weekend with my son. I would never give any attention to an airplane museum if there was a different color combination. But because I'm also a big shopper at IKEA, I watch out what they are doing. So this is really what helps us to really underline this statement that 87% of all brand recognition is driven by color, because we can showcase it in some examples like that. So, of course, IKEA has done an outstanding job worldwide to get their color combination hammered into our mind. And it only takes 5 to 7 seconds to get a consumer being aware of a color for the product or branding. So, thank you, and this is right this time. It's Tiffany's, and Tiffany's is such an iconic brand which really find an iconic color, which they invest a lot of time and money to keep it iconic. And so this is, for example, what we do for Tiffany's. Tiffany's have a very complicated color because it's a mix between blue and green to get this kind of turquoise color. And it's, of course, very often applied on white paper or white materials. And you know what happens if you put a white paper on the window? If the sun is coming, it gets yellow. And do you know what happens if yellow and blue comes together? It gets too much greenish. So this is what IKEA, of course, don't like. They don't want to have green standards at the end. So we are rebranding year over year these IKEA standards, which then companies use really to produce exactly their packaging. 95% of all our decisions we make related to color are done by our emotional factors. See the strawberries here. Nobody of you would pick the turquoise one or the lilac one. For sure not, because you know by learning, by intuition, that's not good for me, it's not healthy. So we picked the red one. So keep that in mind, whatever you do in your job for packaging, for coloring, for whatever, the majority of people who judge your color at the end do it by their emotional side, not by their brain and think about it's a nice color or not nice color. If I would ask you what are your preferred colors, you would give me all emotional answers. So this is very important, and you only have one chance from 5 to 7 seconds that somebody like your packaging or dislike your packaging. So let's have a look to the digital space. The digital space, which is getting more and more important, is a very tricky space. And I tell you why. The problem is that most of us just ignore the fact that the color space in RGB, which is the digital color space, is so much bigger than the color space we can use for print, for dyeing fabrics, for doing plastic, whatever. So if we just look into the color space on our screen and we pick a color, then we could be easy going wrong. And in the last years, it started that our teams get so much more phone calls or emails from big brands who said, hey, we got a new rebranding from our color, and an agency helped us, and I find a cool color, very bright yellow. And now we need to print it. And do you know what happens? It's not possible to be printed because it's out of the gamut. And then they said, now Pantone need to come and help. And I said, we are not magic people. We can just do what is in the color space. So, and this is because the RGB value is so much bigger, and we really need to watch out. And I appreciate that you're here and listen to that, which is also means to give you a little bit, maybe the education about what is the risk in working digitally. So, but before we go into more technical details, I want to give you also a little bit, I said all time entertainment, because technical is all time a little bit like sitting in school. So what Pantone is doing also, we do a lot of trend forecasting. We do it for general industries like fashion industry or home industry, but we also do it very bespoken for customers. And what gets more and more important for us, for all of us in professional life, to understand what are the macro trends. Because the macro trends influence the consumers to do consumer decisions. And I want to give you a quick idea about some macro trends. I cannot do the full lecture today about trend forecasting, but that you get an idea, especially for those trends which are influenced by the digital color space. And by the way, this moving lady here is again representing a color which is typical for the digital space, is this kind of pink-purple color. And if you remember some years ago, our color of the year, Very Perry, was this purple color. It was the first time ever that Pantone has invented a new color for color of the year. And this was from the digital color space, because we want to address the importance of the digital color space. So 2025 will be the year of personality and immersion. So we all heard a lot about AI. We live with AI in some parts already. A lot of people use ChatGPT already. So, but in 2025, we will start to think about more about it. What can AI do for us? And what can AI not do for us? Is it really, can AI create tools which help us in our private life, in our business life? Can they be better as a human being? Can AI, for example, make better stories like a human being? Can AI create an artwork? We don't know yet all these answers, but this is all what we go into the next year where people will think about. But it's not all the time the new technology which really drives the consumer behavior. This new technology really is something which opened our world more to make decisions. Because think about 20 years back, there was no web shops. There was not a possibility to see what's going on, where can I buy some very cheap things from China or wherever, which we should not do because it's not sustainable to bring it around the world and all the factors which come into that. But we can do, we can see it, we can compare it. So this is all quite new for us. So, but at the end, this only helps us to make our decision. But the decision, if I buy something or not, is still based on personality. And personality means also authenticity, very hard word for Germans to say. And that means a lot of customized things coming in. And also immersion. We want to really be loyal, we want to dive into something, we want to feel it. And you hear very often, at least in the German language, a lot of young guys said, I don't feel it. And that means they don't like it, but they said they don't feel it. So this is really which gets more and more important, and also the quality aspect. Luckily, the quality aspect is back, which also has something to do with heritage. And we at Pantone work with a lot of big brands also. We say all the time, we're selling the color dreams. And if you maybe saw, we just have helped Porsche to celebrate their 50th anniversary of Turbo with a specific color Turbo Night. And of course, also Porsche, as an example, stands for quality and heritage. And this has worked so well. People have loved this story because it's a mix of everything, of emotionality, of quality, of heritage. And then Gen Z. Gen Z is, of course, is the first generation ever who grew up from the first day until today with digitization. No millennials did that. Millennials get all these digital things when they was teenager. But the Gen Z generation got it really from the first day and grow up with it. That means, of course, they have their own idea of consumption. And this population will grow to 2030 to 1.3 billion. And I was attending in Cannes in June this Lions Cannes Festival for creative marketing people. And I can tell you, the majority of speeches and panel discussion I was in was about Gen Z. What is Gen Z doing? How can we understand this group? Because they are so different from all what we are. And this is really a tricky thing. And we have some thoughts for that. So preferences in spending for Gen Z. The first preference for these guys is entertainment. And the entertainment is mostly, again, digital. Gaming, all these Spotify, Netflix, whatever is going on. This is all what needs to be paid for, and this is the first spending what they do. The second one is personal care, so good for all of you who are in beauty packaging, of course. And the third is the health club thing, to be healthy, really, to look after themselves. Spend time. These Gen Z generations spend 1 to 5 hours a day for social media. Can you consider that? You're working normally 8 hours, and then you spend 5 hours again on social media. So this is really a long time in comparison to the rest of the day. The preference is YouTube and Instagram, and most of the half Gen Z is on TikTok or Snapchat. They prefer electronic payments. They even don't consider cash anymore. They want to pay digital. They want to use their Apple Watch or their smartphone or whatever to pay. Then every trend which you see normally if you do the big trend presentation have a counter trend. And a counter trend from Gen Z is, with all this digital thing, is going into, let's say, the good old times. And if you see New Balance as a brand, this is one of the Gen Z favorites sneaker brands. They start to do these resale programs where you can buy these shoes, which are really handmade from things people send in. So they're really all unique, they're very sustainable, and they're aesthetically imperfect. And this is what they like. They're not looking for perfectness. And all the things with inclusion and diversity, this is really also coming with this generation. They are not like when you're looking back to the time when this time was when all the models like Claudia Schiffer and Linda Evangelista and all these, this was perfect people, all shaped at the same way. That's not there anymore. It's really this aesthetically imperfectness. Financial education is important for Gen Z, which is also an interesting factor. They want to understand what financially happens. They not just want to, like when we was young, we thought, hey, there's a pension? This is a long time ago, I don't need to take care for it. Somebody will help me then. They are not looking like that. They really plan their life from the beginning to the end. Coming back to these counter trends. A counter trend for everything which is digital is to remove digital access. And there's a phone coming to the market. It's called the Boring Phone. It's a collaboration with Heineken beer. And this phone can only do calls and text. Super boring, but super healthy, because that means if you sit together with your crowd at the dinner, not everybody is looking to the mobile phone about news, about anything. You just interact with each other anymore. So this is really try to prevent people to scrolling through everything all the night. And this phone is a little bit like the first phones we got in the, I even don't remember, 90s or something like that, where you can just do text and some messages. And another one is Terra. Terra is a small gadget which is designed if you walk somewhere to help you to find a way. And I know this painfully for myself. If I'm in some cities and need to go to an address, I have my mobile phone open, and beside of looking to the wonderful buildings in Paris or London or wherever I'm looking to my mobile phone to not lose my way. And this gadget helps you just to have it with you, but not look to it all the time. So all these we call dopamine detox. We try to bring away these digital things. Then another thing is try to use all the senses you have, especially to understand color. And I'm not sure if you have been at the Milan Design Week this year. There was from Google an installation. They rent a lot of rooms and they put every room into a color theme. And I wasn't there myself. I just heard it from a lot of people that it was so cool because you was really diving into the color. It's not only that you see the color was all around you. And this was this immersive feeling which helped you really to get a new experience which you not have before. And this experience with these immersive things and really color around you and entertainment around you is something which is picked up by a lot of other institutes, museums, retail events and whatever. So you see here some examples from Shanghai, Florida, Chicago, and Riyadh, who really do these immersive things. You can also find it in a lot of European countries where you see some exhibitions. And I was once in one of these, and it was really, really mind-blowing because you were sitting in the middle of an art. And you have music as another sense, and you have all the colors around you. So that was it's really a very, very good new experience. So then what we do in Pantone, if we have covered the macro trends, and as I said, this was only a very few macro trends from a lot, which are more on the digital side, and we also go into color trend stories. And here I just want to highlight 2 color trend stories for you, which involving again the digital space. So one is the metasensorial reality, which is a color space, which you can see here, which has a lot of colors which we call moisturized colors. And these colors really try to merge together between the real life and the digital life. So you're not entirely sure what you can see on the photos here, if this is really something which is digital animated or it's really somebody really wearing these kind of strange, not glasses or whatever the lady has on her head. And then normally we have in all these color stories, we have a lot of trend color palettes. I just want to highlight one color here to give you an example. And this color, Coral Haze, we have in Pantone different systems. This is the system which is more for fashion home interior people. The other system which has no names, which are for graphic and print and packaging guys, so for all of you, is not covered here because the trend forecasts are normally more based on industrial design people or fashion home interior people. And this color specifically should find the border between the physical and digital space and give us the digital sensualness. And you see really again here that it's really hard to say if these photos here are animated or real life photos. Then of course, color trends are also looking to what happens on Instagram, on TikTok, what is really important for these guys, like we just learned, Gen Z is there all the time on these platforms. And what we see that the ultra gloss level is something which is imitating the filters you can find in TikTok and Instagram. So and this is then brought back to people who use it really in industrial design. The haptic era, of course, not the digital way, but something we are still in our normal life. We also want to have a haptic, and this is something which maybe inspire you for packaging too. And I was my pleasure today to be on the winter booth. So by the way, if you want to talk to me later, I will be there in the afternoon again. And I saw a lot of new materials which have a haptic, which I think it's very, very cool because it's not just flat. You see that you can do a lot of recycled materials, even with an haptic. And this is something which also is very, very important for us for the next year, that we get more new materials which give us the sense, could be an artificial material, could be even from a 3D printer, but it's still something we can touch and feel. And then we have a second story I want to show you, we call the new humans. And the new humans are really, let's say, two group of people coming together. There's one group who really are the people who go into biotechnology, experimenting with bacteria, with microorganisms. They work on the DNA, whatever they do. And then we have the other people who just live in the digital fields. And these two coming together are called the new humans. And then the new humans color trend story, you see a lot of materials and you see a lot of also experimental dressing or design and styling, like you can see here, where you're not entirely sure, are these done just on a digital platform or are these done really in a real life from a designer? Are these dresses really existing in our world or are these just somewhere avatars? And all these color themes transporting a color inside. So specifically for the new humans are all these kind of turquoise shades, and you see a lot of things are done by light. So this is also very important that colors very often light up to get a new aspect. And you can see here specifically the lightning effects, the holographic effects. And this was an installation from Nike, who did a shoe, which coming from a 3D printer, and was really done from an AI computer. So not a human being has done this shoe, it was an AI design, and then printed out from a 3D printer. So no human involved. Is this good or bad? We don't know. So back to the technical part. So we saw a lot about inspiration from the digital world, but now we have to have a quick look back to the technical thing. So I tried to compare RGB values and CMYK values. For those who are not so familiar with the values, RGB are the color values you need to have on the screens, and CMYK is more or less the dead end a printer can do, because these are only for colors you mix together to get a print. So CMYK is normally used for really mass market things, not of course for luxury packaging you're probably here in this show. So what happens very often, as I said before, people approach us and said, hey, we get a cool color from an agency, now we need to print it and it doesn't work. So if you see the RGB, the green one which I just put in the square, and you see the CMYK, these are totally different colors. But this is the reality. And you need to be warned and prepare for that if you want to work in digital and in the real life. This is the color ball, which we can see as a human being. We can see millions of colors. By the way, do you know which color human being can see best or can compare best, and which colors we can see the differences least? Any idea? Blue, you can compare easy, or you can see differences not good.
When everything fades, when a painting fades, everything's blue.
That's true. That's with the sunlight fading out. You're totally right. What I mean by that, maybe said the question a little bit bad. If you compare two gray shades and you compare two yellow shades, where can you see the difference easier? Gray. Why?
Because it's based on black and white.
Yeah, it's based on you're on the right track. It's based on the human perception ability, because our eyes are not linear. So we can see color differences in beige, in gray, in khaki, in brown, in all, we call it the neutral colors, very well. And also these colors are flipping within the light conditions, from D65 to, for example, fluorescent light. If you have bright orange, bright green, bright red, we almost don't see the differences. Of course, at a specific point we see it, but at the very beginning not. That means if you do any job in beige, in gray, in khaki, in brown, watch out. Not only you see the difference, or the customer will see the difference if anything in the packaging is wrong, especially if you use different materials or different components or different suppliers even. So back to that one. This bowl is really showing the millions of color we can see. The yellow line, everything which is within the yellow line is where an RGB color can be applied on your computer. So you see, still a lot of colors. And a lot of colors also in the corners of blue, green, and red. The blue line in the middle is the colors gamut which you can do in CMYK. As I said, CMYK is really the dead end of what you can do. But this is very important to remember that. And if you print with spot colors, that's the Pantone inks, then it's of course more than CMYK, but still a lot less than what you can do with RGB. So keep that in mind. Really, this is a key message, and never forget it again, because this will help you in future to avoid mistakes in real life. So how can you control it now? You get an RGB value from a customer, and the customer said, you know what? I want to have that pink. This is my RGB value. Print it for me. Do it in packaging. And how can you control it? This is from the Pantone Connect app, which you can find on our website. So what the Pantone Connect app is doing, you can check the RGB value, you can check hex values, you can check LRB values, you can check CMYK values, and can bring it back to Pantone and find out, is this RGB value possible to be printed in Pantone? I would not say everything which is not possible to be printed in Pantone is not possible to print at all. There are a lot of colors we don't have in our portfolio, which you can still print. Therefore, we have a custom color service, which I have not included here in this deck, but we also work for a lot of clients in custom color to help them to do specific colors. Nevertheless, it's an indication that if the pink, the bright one which you see on the top, is what you want to get, and the best match is what you have here on the left side, is this, here, this is the best thing you can achieve. And this is original. You see, it's far away. The problem is that this RGB value is so off of the gamut of everything you can print. If you ever want to have this color in real life, forget to choose these RGB values. I checked it then also with the normal Pantone guides, because that was the Pastel and Neo guide. And you see, even with the normal guide, it's even more far away. And if I go then to the color bridge, which is showing CMYK, it's a total disaster. And this tool helps you tremendously if you need to flip between digital world and real world to really see if it's balanced or not. Another tool we have invented in Pantone is to help you guys to understand if an RGB value can be brought alive, is the Pantone simulation proof. That means this was a real example from a brand. I got these RGB values with this super bright blue, and they asked me, can I print it? I said, let's check. So we did this simulation proof, where we find out this was the custom RGB value, and you see here, not available in spot, not achievable in process. Process is CMYK. So not possible. The best one we can do is here in the middle. And if you say, okay, looks not too bad, let's bring the middle one here back to RGB, which is that one. So at the end, that is the new logo color, which is that one. This is the best color we can do in print, and this was the best in CMYK. And this is something which is really eye-opening, so we help a lot of clients to make this simulation proof, to really tell them what is possible, what is simply not possible, and nobody can do it. It's really the limitation of the technique, so there is no way to say to your printer, just try harder, it's not possible. So, the summary of today, chances and risk for color in the virtual universe. First of all, color is the key element in every product, in every packaging or brand awareness. Never forget that. It's also important that's a good haptic, it's also important that's a good styling, but color is the first thing we see, the last thing we will ever forget, so never forget that again. Through color, you can deliver messages so much faster than you can do with every other thing. Nobody has the time to read anymore. Nobody invests any time in anything anymore. But color is an emotional platform which helps you to speak and tell the story. You have only one chance, wherever you are, that a customer likes your color, your packaging, your product, your branding, or not. You do not get a second chance. This is the same in the digital world like in the real world. And the color space in RGB is so much bigger than the real life. So watch out if you do something on your computer, and really try before you nail down your new color if you really can use it in the real life. So never forget, from my point of view, maybe this is a very old thinking. We are still living in the real life. I hope we will spend also the future years in the real life, not only sitting in front of our computers and see us online. So therefore, it's really important that colors in a real life resonates to you too. Thank you very much for listening today, for coming today. I hope it was your pleasure. If you want to meet me later, as I said, I will be at the winter booth. It's DADC, is it correct? DA02. So yeah, and happy to answer, of course, also questions now, if you have some. We have some people running around with a microphone, I heard, so if you have any questions now, I'm happy to do so. Somebody has a question, just put the hands up. Okay, if you're now, everybody's sleeping, let me control, no, okay, so. Yeah, you have a question? Okay, here and there.
This was absolutely fascinating. It was so exciting for me, and I don't even understand all these letters you're talking about, but you look beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And you've chosen the right colors, and I've loved everything about it.
Thank you.
So thank you very much.
Thank you, that's very nice.
If you are choosing a product that is an edible product, like coffee, you should be choosing a color that is as symbolizes in your mind a coffee color. And it's got a, I don't understand all these numbers, CMYK or something.
CMYK, mm-hmm.
Just let's just say in real life rather than all of those, although I'm fascinated by that. Is there a color that you would immediately say, choose this and don't choose this? Like, don't do blue because that's marine, but you could do green or red. I don't know. I'm asking you.
Yeah, okay. Let's say that if you do anything for food, of course, there are some colors which are maybe not working for food. It doesn't matter if it's drink or food, everything you consume. And I would say, of course, blue is maybe not the best color because normally you don't eat blue food. But we have a team who do a lot of food consultancy. And the question is totally right you ask, because every yogurt, everything you eat, every coffee is colored. Don't think about if you open your yogurt tonight, it's a natural color. They're a big design team who really have a Pantone guide next to it and said, okay, for China, we do this color, for Europe, we do these, for America, we do these. Because the color preferences are different in the world, so they very often these big food companies even address color preferences by regions. So and yes, there is absolutely right, you need to address it to the product you're doing. You're welcome. You can just hand it over to the lady behind you.
I think the two of us are the question champions.
Okay.
I'm very interested in the neuroscience of color, and particularly the application of it now that we're living in an era of radical longevity, people living much longer than in the past and continuing to consume and be economically active. But at the same time, there is also a rise in potentially neurodiversity and also memory challenges for older consumers. And I was interested in your comment around memory and color. Are you doing any work with brands who are trying to be relevant to consumers, particularly in the pharmaceutical industry, where perhaps they can design for memory to make sure that they take the right medications at a particular time, or that they find their way in car parks and stuff like that, or in buildings or hospitals?
Is memory a sickness? Sorry, I don't get this word.
No, sort of, let's say...
Is it a color blindness or something like that?
No, it's not about color blindness. It's about loss of cognitive capability as you get older.
I get it, okay. Not yet, but it's a very fair question, because the thing is really color is the last thing a human being will forget. So if you have elderly homes, for example, they paint their floors in different colors because you even more forget your name or the floor you're living, but you not forget you live in the red floor. It's starting easy if you go to parking garages. They are normally colored in different colors to help us to say, I was in the blue, not in the A2 or whatever. So, but we are not actively in the moment working on something like that. It's a very interesting thing. You're right, it will become more relevant because people get older. So, and we was talking recently several times with people from the medical sector, also as I said, people with color blindness, or what is the contrast on a website? Can you read it? Can you not read it? If you're older, if you're younger, or whatever. So yeah, it's a relevant thing, but in the moment we are not actively working on something like that. But yeah, good idea. Any more questions over there?
Hi, just want to know how you fix the problem when you are colorblind. I know there's a lot of techniques because the word of colorblind is so different. How do you work with it?
We in the Pantone Connect app, which I mentioned several times, there's a special feature where you can see how a color combination you choose for your brand looks like for different color blindness levels, because there are different red, green, and whatever. I'm not a specialist here, but you can see then how a colorblind people would see your color palette. This is what we address. Yeah, that's in the moment all we can do, but like you said, there are so many different levels. Yeah, it's hard to do that further, but I think that's already a good help, because then you can really see, oh, okay, this palette looks better for colorblind than the other one you're doing.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So, anymore, do you know what I miss? I miss a very important question, and I hope you will ask that question. What is the next color of the year? Do you want to? Yeah, this is the question which is normally coming up. Okay, but no, let's, you can take it to the lady over there.
Excuse me, I didn't understand well. Maybe you explained during your presentation, but I can catch it well. Which color is remained at the first? Which most of the humans, which color is attract them first? Is that any special color that remind better in compare with other colors?
I can only answer the question in the sense of what kids do first. So babies, for example, they take first red. They can see first the red thing and attract first by the red colors. But at other human beings, it's really related on the occasion, the situation, like the lady here asked for coffee, it's a different like for cars or something like that. But if you see it from a point of human at all, then a baby starts first to see and grab for the red things. Therefore, all the kids' toys are normally these strong colors, because they see the strong colors first before they start to see the pastel colors, for example.
Not attraction, remind this color better. Because maybe red one is attract your eyes at the first, but maybe you cannot remind it easily. But during the time, which color is remain in our mind most?
To be honest, I don't know if there's anything really an answer for that, or is it just really very subjective? I don't know. So I never heard this question before, to be honest, and I never heard anybody talking about that. So I'm even not sure if there's any color which stays longer in our mind than other colors. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. But thanks for the question. Interesting question, nevertheless. Over here, first slide.
So if you were designing a range of products with different emotions and feelings, for example, I would say maybe energy, sleep, brave and courageous, and calm, what would you say would be the colors most related to those? And then also, if you just had one color that was, would encompass all of those, would there be one? What would that color be?
So first of all, I have to admit, I'm not from the creative team. I'm just a commercial team. I'm 16 years in the company, so I did a lot of these creative projects with my colleagues. But if you just list up the name, the list.
For energy, what would you say for energy?
Energy normally is everything which is coming with blue, because energy is really something which is blue. Energy can be also give you energy, could be red, but red could be also fear and danger and attention. So, but let's say a lot of energy companies use blue. This bright blue, not the dark blue, not the elegant blue like banks use, more the bright blues. But this is what the company is using. That's not said that it's good, because it could be that your energy company want to position yourself, I'm an energy company who want to use sustainable energy. then I would not use blue, because then you have the message, let's do something with maybe a green shade. But maybe green is then too simple. So therefore, it's really to find new colors, and we often help new brands to find new colors. It's really something which is a longer analysis. Also, what is the competitors doing? What is the region you're working in? What is the target group you want to go for? Is it really the young guys you want to sell the energy, or is it the older guys who sit at home you want to sell the energy? Do you sell it online only, so you need only RGB value? Or do you also need to print flyers? So these are all a lot of questions behind this selection, which it would be very poor if I give you now a color and you say, then it's absolutely not what we can do in this simple way. It's really complex.
Yeah.
And the second part was of the question?
Say, for example, if you had to choose one color that symbolizes sleep.
Okay, so one color per statement you gave.
Per emotional feeling, you know.
It's absolutely possible. We do this very often, that we have companies who approach us and said, we want to have a color which symbolizes happiness, or a color which symbolizes whatever. And but it's, again, something which we need to dive much deeper into, what it means, what is your marketing thing, what are your target groups and whatever. So sorry for not helping further.
Just instinctive.
But this, to be honest, my VP from the creative team will kill me if I give you distinctive things, because she said that's not your portfolio, you don't know it. So this is because, as I said, I'm just a commercial person.
Yeah. Thank you.
You teach color lessons and coaching?
We do it in a way like that, and then of course also in different topics, whatever is asked from conferences or in webinars. Yeah, we do that too. Yeah.
And are you finding that more and more people are wanting their specific color? I know that you can go and buy a Hermes Birkin handbag in your own color.
Yeah, it's absolutely, and this is what I said at the beginning from Gen Z. They want to have customized solutions. So I think this uniqueness is something which people want to get. They don't want to, are so keen on having the same dress 5 times in the opera. They want to have their own thing, their own shoes and something like that, because they want to personalize it. Yeah, this you can see in brands very often in the moment, yeah.
It was fascinating. Thank you very,
you're
very
welcome.
much.
You're welcome. So color of the year is... Our time is off. I'm so sorry, I just see the 00 here, and they said I need to be punctual off. Thank you very much for coming. Have a good afternoon.